All right, next, I'll go switch it up to running backs here, and I'm going to talk about James Conner. He was being drafted as the RB16, and I believe he finished as like RB17 on the season. So again, this was where he was being drafted. I didn't think he was going to return that value because we're coming off of 2021, where I think he led the league in rushing touchdowns, had something like 18 touchdowns on the season, if my memory is correct. Had a great season. Wasn't really involved in the passing game a whole lot, but I mean, was used at the goal line and was very efficient on the ground. Stayed healthy. I didn't think he was going to garner that sort of usage again this year, and I did not I just didn't see him finishing as a mid-range RB2. I just didn't see it in that offense. I thought Kyler would be healthy all season. Um, you had Hopkins with his suspension, but then coming back partway through the season. You had Hollywood Brown joining the team. Um, so I thought that the passing game would be a little bit more prolific than it was this season. And that was my reasoning behind it. Um, Obviously, Kyler got hurt. James Conner did his thing. Yeah, so that was a miss there. It'll be interesting to see what happens now this offseason with Cliff gone, who they bring in, and then how that offense is going to look. I would expect Connor to be back again this next season and probably continue to do what he's been doing since he's been staying healthy now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know that anybody knows what this offense looks like next year. That's what's a little freaky about this. I completely agree that, yes, this year he did what he needed to do, got almost 200 rushing attempts. To your point, how much of that was because of the injury to
Right.
Kyler, who would run a lot himself, and with a different quarterback in there, like Colt McCoy, isn't going to do that.
Hmm.
And so he probably saw an uptick because of that. And I don't know, do you feel like we just discounted the loss of Chase Edmonds to some point? Is that part of this? Like, did we think, well, Chase Edmonds is Chase Edmonds, but they have Eno Benjamin, they have Keontae Ingram, they'll have
I think.
some dudes
Mhm.
step up, right?
Yeah, I do think that was part of it as well. I think that's a valid point there, Jake. Um, where yeah, Edmonds was more of the pass catching guy, and he could, run the ball as well. He wasn't just a pass catcher. So yeah, I think that probably played into a little bit of why I was fading him. But I mean, if he's gonna be a kind of mid-range RB2 ADP next year, especially if I don't go early RB in my draft, which I tend to do in redraft, is go heavy RB to begin with, and then fill in with wide receivers later on. But if for some reason I kind of fade it, or maybe go anchor RB, grab an RB in the first round, and then go back and grab James Conner in like the fourth or fifth or something, depending on how the draft goes, I think he'd be fine as my RB2. I'd be okay with that.
I'd love that if he remains his pass catching role. If he gets
Correct.
to hold on to that 50 plus targets, because that's the difference maker, especially this year when the touchdowns weren't as fruitful as last
Hmm.
season. 7 touchdowns, hey, that's still great. That's still fine. But it's not that outrageous number you mentioned from last
Right.
year. So now Cliff Kingsbury is gone. We have no idea what their coaching staff looks like. They're looking to trade DeAndre Hopkins away. We don't know what Kyler Murray's injury status is going to be for the start of the season.
Yeah,
Maybe
most
he'll come back
likely.
like Joe Burrow. Maybe.
Doubtful. I mean, I'm not anticipating that personally.
Mm. I mean, I don't think anybody was anticipating Joe Burrow coming back for week one at
That's
this time
fair.
last year, though.
That's
So, I
fair.
mean, I'm not an injury guy. I'm not a doctor. I've never even played one on TV. So I
Did you
can't.
stay at a Holiday Inn and Express last night?
No, I didn't
Oh,
do any of the things that were needed for me to speculate on this. So I will say, though, it's so in shambles. And so
hmm,
a James Conner at 27 years old, going to be 28, I believe, to start the season. I mean, how does he really factor into their team?
right.
Are they going to, maybe they'll try to ship him away too. And that throws a wrench into everything. But it feels like Steelers, Cardinals, situational, dependent. James
Hmm.
Conner is just a good running back. So let's just be involved with James Conner at his ADP when it's probably low,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. I mean, I'm assuming. Okay, we'll play this game.
Yeah.
assuming they don't draft a running back
Mhm,
early, they'll probably pick one up late, as most teams do. But say they don't draft one early
mhm.
and they don't bring anyone in via free agency, and he's around that 16, 17 ADP come draft season in August, I'd be down for that.
I would too. It's a cheat to say it depends on how I've drafted to that point, but that's true. Also,
It
jerks,
is.
it doesn't matter how you've drafted ahead of that point, but I would say I'd
But I
probably
think the
be in on it.
value at that point is going to be fair. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to be too high a value.
I agree. I think he's proven himself to be reliable
Hmm.
enough the last couple of years to do that.
Yeah.